The top candidates for California governor took the stage in San Francisco last night.
Joining us now with his thoughts on the debate, Fox 5's political analyst, Carl Luna. Carl, good morning. Always good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you both.
For those who may be waking up right now and they didn't catch what happened last night, what were the big moments that stood out for you?
I think one of the biggest moments is that there were no particularly big moments. You had 6 candidates kind of bunched together in the polls, all trying to establish themselves out to the voters without a huge lot of quotable quotes coming out of it. The Republicans, the 2 Republican candidates, observed Ronald Reagan's rule, don't speak bad of a fellow Republican, and spent their whole time ripping into Democrats. The Democrats split their time ripping into Donald Trump and each other.
Interesting. So if you had to pick of those 6 candidates you saw last night, who had the strongest debate, who had the weakest debate?
When you're looking at a debate that's a bit of a meh, it's kind of hard to say, but he had a hugely strong debate. I think Mr. Hilton kind of presented himself as a Republican outsider to government and got some good blows in on Governor Newsom and the Democrats, blaming everything that's wrong on the Democrats. Xavier Becerra didn't particularly stand out. He kind of comes across as what he is, an old established politician. Katie Porter was kind of on the fringes of things. The governor of San Jose, Mr. Mahan, Matt Mahan, didn't score any big points. So probably Tom Steyer, who is the front runner for the Democrats, did not have the stronger performance he needed, and Hilton with the Republicans probably was the strongest Republican on the stage.
If you had to say one's coming out a winner, from what I'm hearing, you're saying that it was really no one, but if there was one?
If there was any winner, it was collectively Sheriff Bianco and Mr. Hilton, because the Democrats continue to split their vote. And since none of the Democrats look particularly strong or weak, they all can now say, well, you know, we're still in this, so let's keep it going until the election. And the nightmare scenario for Democrats is that they split the vote so much, independents and undecideds don't weigh in on their side, and suddenly you got 2 Republicans coming into the election in November. Right now, Matt Mahan, as the the mayor of San Jose, might be the most likely to next drop out because he's only like 5-6% in the polls.
Right.
But Katie Porter and Xavier Becerra and Tom Steyer all have reasons to stay in.
So Betty Yee dropped out, and you're saying that Mahan might drop out. Are you surprised that more of the Democrats haven't done so earlier because of that exact reason you said, because of California and the way it's played out for November? You could potentially have 2 Republicans going at it for governor of California, something that people would say would never happen anytime soon.
Yeah, no, that's the problem the Democrats face. There were no adults in the room earlier on. A role that Governor Newsom, if he wants to aspire to national leadership, might have shown in California, to bring the Democratic Party together and say, look, we can do 2 or 3 candidates, but candidates who by a certain date are polling 5% or less need to do the good thing for the party. It's ego and ambition versus party good, and right now the Democrats can't pull themselves together. You could see that in the debate where they keep on throwing mud at each other, when their basic approach should have been any Democrat on this platform is better than a Republican, because Donald Trump has caused most of the problems in California. Don't believe us? Go look at your gas prices.
You talk about gas prices, you mentioned problems faced. Last night, what was the biggest topic that was being tackled by all the candidates, regardless of their sides?
Well, John, Shelley, that's one of the things that with the way the debate was organized, the questions weren't particularly great to hit the things Californians care about. According to the latest Emerson poll, #1 is it's the economy, stupid. Right. And that's the whole economy. That's housing, gas prices, food prices, job security. And there weren't good questions on that. You had questions on should the police be able to stop people to see if they can speak English when they're driving. Okay, that's an issue, but that's not toward the top of what Californians are worried about. There were discussions about homelessness, and people care about homelessness, but that doesn't make the top 5 that people are worried about. Right now, people are worried about being able to pay their rent, keep their mortgages, and be able to see their kids live better than themselves. And nobody offered a real vision of that, except perhaps for the 2 Republican candidates whose vision was tear it all down and start over.
So you've mentioned this, and I'm kind of surprised. I keep looking it up every day. Has Gavin Newsom not endorsed anyone? I know there were too many, crowded field, but when you have a governor like him, why has he not endorsed anyone to help out in this mess? And do you think he will, and when?
I would like to think behind the scenes, the discussions are going on. You've had the state chair of the Democratic Party encourage the Democratic candidates to do a real thoughtful introspection on this. And you did have one dropout. There's a couple more who are at single digits who might consider dropping out. But the top four are close enough together that they're just going to try to ride this in. I think Gavin Newsom is at the stage where he's looking at the national stage and he's kind of forgetting about the state that he was part of.
We have less than 2 months, Carl, until the primary. So where do all these campaigns go from here?
Well, Shelley, that's the question. I mean, we start voting in a matter of weeks, the mail-in ballots and all the rest. The question right now is 25% of voters are undecided. At this point in the race, it may well be that they don't show up to vote. If Democrats don't show up to vote by now and in the fall, that could make a couple of the congressional seats Democrats want to flip in the state become harder to achieve. And again, if Republicans can maintain their base and maintain a solid 40%, 35% of the vote, and Democrats continue to split things, it's a coin toss. It will actually be for pundits like myself, for political observers, an Orville Redenbacher popcorn popping event to see what plays out.
I like the visuals on that, Carl. That's pretty good stuff. 25% undecided. You can't have a governor named Governor Undecided ruling California.
We seem to be moving that way.
Yes, indeed. We will be speaking again, I'm sure. Thanks for the time, Carl. Good to see you.
Thank you.